Composed items are a very powerful feature unique to JGID. Let me explain how they work. A composed item is an item that consists out of multiple items that can be hidden or presented to the client for breakdown. It's a bit like having a family. Imagine the family is made up out of individuals, in this case the children, which can be services, materials, instruments, consumables, or PPE. The children then are embedded underneath a parent, which would be the composed item. A composed item can have as many children or sub-items as you like. Please be aware though that if you wanted to take this another level up, for example, we have a grandparent, this would then have to become a quote template. A composed item cannot be saved with a composed item inside it, yet once you get to a quote level, you can have another composed item inside a composed item. So you can go up to 3 levels of breakdown. Assuming that you know how to add individual items to your inventory, let me show you how you can add a composed item. There are a number of ways you can do this. One is through the inventory by clicking on composed items. You can then simply add a brand new item, or if you wanted to modify an existing one, you can pick a composed item, add any text and styling tools in here. Please note, I would always recommend to make the quantity of a composed item 1. Note here the cost cannot be modified because this cost is made up of the cost of all of the sub-items in this composed item. If I want to add another item, I can add it simply by pressing here on position, and then I can choose what sub-item I would like to add. Let's say I'm going to add some nozzles. At this point I can now modify the cost of these nozzles and the final sell price and any quantities that I might need to adjust. Please be aware that when adding items to a composed items, you can only utilize all the single line items. If you want to add a composed item in here, it will not work. So please do not use this button when modifying composed items inside the inventory. This can only be used at a quote template level. If you need to modify many composed items, so if you had like a number of variations of this composed item where just one item might be different or a size changes, rather than having to build them one by one through the inventory, there is a quicker way to do this through the quote interface. Let me show you how. If I go to a quote, I can import a composed item. Let's say I'll just use my consumables. I import these, save the item, and now I can make any changes where I can delete an item, or I can make changes to the text or modifications to the price. If I want to add a different sub-item to this composed item, I'll use this plus button here so that the system knows that this is now going to be embedded underneath this parent. So let's say I'm adding a new sub-item into my composed item. Check any of the text or the pricing, press save. And now that I've made my changes, I go back into the parent, double click the parent to open it up, make any changes here if you need. For example, I might need to adjust my price. And now I press save and add as new composed item so that I have this composed item saved in my inventory for the future. Press save, and you now have this composed item available to use in any quote or job you like. Please note, if I now wanted to take this to another level down where we go from 1 to 1.2 to 1.3, etc. By the way, dragging and dropping will always refresh this numbering system. I would have to start off by adding a custom composed item. Make the quantity 1, adjust the unit that you would like to use. I generally use service per unit. And now press save. I've now got my grandparent in place. And now by pressing the plus, we know that we can add another item beneath this one. And so rather than adding a single line item, I'm now going to add another composed item, which in this case would become the parent with all of their grandchildren. So you see, this is the grandparent, here's the parent, and here are the grandchildren. Again, you're free to add as many families underneath the grandparent as you like, now that we're in the quote. Press save to add this one in. Please be aware, these can be saved and added as new composed items, but this grandparent cannot be saved and added as a new composed item. This would now need to be saved as a quote template using this button here, Save Quote as Template. So if you need to work with a lot of composed items inside composed items, the trick there is to make sure that you're working with the quote templates. Once you've made your quote templates, you can always import the quote template, and then again you can make any modifications to that quote and then save that quote as a template again, so you have it available for the future. If you have any questions or need any help with composed items, you can always contact support via our ticketing system, or you can read up on our knowledge base, or alternatively go to our website www.jgid.com and call the support number on that website.